on, I think it's the 21st, for all you guys back in the mainland. This will probably be the last video that I do for a couple of days because I'm getting my ass home. And I'm excited to be back in my bed, make some coffee, go to the gym, be back at my desk. I'm gonna start doing a lot of these videos live once I get back home. It's gonna be good. My, shall we say, creative juices have been flowing since I've been here. So I'm excited to get back home and see what I can do with them. But anyway, a lot of stuff to talk about right now, so I don't really have time to film anything and edit it and upload it, so I just have a bunch of notes here and we'll talk about a lot of things going on. Bunch of new Q. They've been posting some drops last night, this morning. Last night they posted a link to a YouTube video of Eisenhower's farewell address. And this is the farewell address, or the clip from it, where Dwight Eisenhower was talking about the military-industrial complex. And it's a classic clip that you often see in a lot of conspiratorial documentaries. So it was neat that Q linked that. And then we had some new Q drops today, just this morning. They were talking about the Big Five Democratic Party leaders in Congress. That's Nancy Pelosi, Adam Schiff, Nadler, Chuck Schumer, and Feinstein. And of course, you look at all of these particular individuals, where are they from? What states? Just two states, California and New York. So these are the two states where, of course, big part of the population is there. A lot of the electoral college votes come from those states. So it's like pivotal to the propaganda, you know, pivotal to the narrative for the deep state to maintain control of those two particular states. And then Q also gave us a couple links, one to a Judicial Watch article discussing a cleanup of California's voter roll. And there was 1.5 million inactive voters in California. That's what the Judicial Watch article was discussing. Good on Judicial Watch for helping to try to clean up all that nonsense. And then out of New York, on the other side of the country, there was, you know, there's the law granting a lot of illegal immigrants their driver's licenses. I believe in New Jersey and New York as well. So that's what they're trying to install in the Northeast. And how much voter fraud is that going to lead to? If you just hand out driver's licenses like it's frickin' candy to all these illegal immigrants that shouldn't really be voting because they're not naturalized citizens. You know, voting's not a right, it's a privilege. Felons can't vote. You should be a part of this country and a naturalized citizen to vote. You know, voting's something you gotta earn, right? So no doubt, lots of corruption going on in California and New York for them to do all this voter fraud and maintain their control of those two particular states. And then at the very same time that Q dropped that drop, 30 seconds later, the president posted and on Twitter, and the president's tweet just said, release the transcripts. So there was a 30-second delta between those. Q then says, you know, delta, basically telling us to take a look at it. And again, one of many instances where we got a Q drop and a president tweet at basically the exact same time. So what's the mathematical possibility of that, right? What a coincidence. And then another Q drop, I think one of the last ones said, the main goal of the impeachment is not to get rid of the president, it's to shield themselves, which makes a whole lot of sense. Why they're continuously stalling, trying to drag this out, because they know they're not going to get rid of the president. They know that. But if they can drag this impeachment inquiry out for as long as they can, that shields them from any particular, you know, attack. They'll call it attack. They'll call it politically motivated if any sort of indictments come out or, you know, evidence comes out against any of those Big Five individuals, against Adam Schiff. He'll either call it, oh, it's a deep fake, or, oh, it's politically motivated attack, right? So that's the main goal of this impeachment nonsense. Now, moving on, let's talk about POTUS, all right? The president is, of course, in Switzerland, Davos, at the World Economic Forum. We'll talk a little bit about that in a minute, but let's first talk about the impeachment charades. Now, I'm not watching them. I'm not going to waste my time. I don't know too much about what's going on in the Senate with those today, but I do know that POTUS lawyered up. Did you see the names that are joining his legal team now? There's a lot of congressmen that are doing so. Doug Collins, Jim Jordan, these are just a few names on the list. Mark Meadows, John Ratcliffe. So a lot of the, shall we say, clean Republicans. There's a lot of dirty Republicans out there. Most of the dirty Republicans are gone by now, but there's probably a few still in there. These are the clean Republicans, and they're the ones that are getting around POTUS to support him. Really, it's all the Freedom Caucus guys. If you're familiar with that Freedom Caucus, that group within Congress and who's on that, it's all of them, and they're basically the clean Republicans, as we can call it. They're surrounding themselves around POTUS, and it's just going to be a shit show. A lot of people are calling it a snore fest. Yeah, I'm not. That's why I'm not even watching it, wasting my time with it, because I think Adam Schiff is just boring the shit out of everybody. So there's that. POTUS's Twitter back on to talking about his tweets, because there was an interesting one that he made yesterday where he was talking about the economy of the USA. He was talking about the USA economy's #1, but he called it #1 in the universe. And he capitalized universe. Like, universe. Interesting, interesting way to verbalize that, right? Interesting word choice. Way to get people thinking outside the box, outside the planet too, right? #1 in the universe. And not just that, but one thing I did watch a little bit of was President Trump's keynote address at the World Economic Forum today. And it was a 20-minute speech. If you haven't watched it, at least watch a few clips of it, because, again, you know, anytime the president talks, there's always double, triple entendres. There's always meanings behind the words that he's saying, doublespeak, and I love to check out his doublespeak, because on one end, it's sort of sanitized for the public understanding, the public to digest, but at the same time, there's always things behind what he's really saying, and if you understand the big picture of what's going on in the world, he says a lot of crazy stuff. He was talking about, I believe, quantum, some stuff in regards to quantum, which is big, you know. I think that quantum terminology is going to be a way that they sort of slide out a lot of these secretive, hidden technologies out to the public. It'll be that buzzword they use to sell it to the mainstream, quantum, right? I can't stand the word quantum. There's a lot of preconceived notion and sort of nonsense that comes with that, but it's a good way to sell things. Call it quantum. He was talking about things like 5G. I heard him promote vaccines, claiming and they save lives, and talking about wheat helping all of us, you know, and there's a role he has to play. So when the president supports vaccines and 5G and things like that, you know, he can't just come out against them. It's for the optics of it all. So don't get triggered when he looks like he's supporting 5G or vaccines or something like that. He's got that role to play in the meantime. Maybe term 2, he can free up what he says and start attacking Big Pharma, things like that a little more. But there was one particular talking point, one sentence he said, and it was about 20 minutes into his speech. I'm going to read it here. He said, "We're continuing to work on things that you'll hear about in the very near future, and you wouldn't believe it's possible right now." Then he said, "We found the answers." He repeated that a couple times. We found the answers, and he was talking about technology. So when I heard that, again, the meaning behind what he's really saying, could that mean, what could that mean? We found the answers to what? You're continuing to work on what that we'll hear about very soon? What aren't we going to believe is possible? You know what that makes me think of? What he said during his inauguration speech. We're going to unlock the mysteries of space, figure out the technologies of tomorrow, right? Yeah, I think that means free energy disclosure. I think that means new forms of propulsion, UFO disclosure, things like that. Could be the cures to diseases. when that's a big conversation. There's a lot of cures to disease that are already out there. If you just make the effort to go research them, figure them out, find them, you can do them yourself. So don't get to thinking that all the cures are hidden and you don't have access to anything right now. There's a lot of natural things that are already out there that you can use, but no doubt there's a disclosure that needs to happen of big pharma, right? What about these bioengineered diseases? What about these technologies that they do have that could be, hidden and really help us? So, yeah, I think those are the things we're going to hear about in the very near future that are going to blow a lot of people's minds. Wouldn't blow my mind. I'm expecting it. I already see the big picture, but of course a lot of people out there, they don't. So, frankly, I think that POTUS and Q are going to very soon delve into a lot more of that UFO, ET, those sorts of subjects. I wouldn't doubt if that happens. We know the Space Force is getting set up. I think in the next few months they're supposed to do a lot of acquisition and a lot of sort of training and equipping of that new Space Force that's getting set up. And of course with that Eisenhower farewell address that was linked by Q, hey, thank you, Kareen, for the super chat. I appreciate it. That Eisenhower footage, especially that military-industrial complex clip, that's used in a lot of different UFO documentaries. We used it in Above Majestic. That was used in my documentary. It's kind of a classic clip there. So with that, with the Space Force, with the universe in his tweet, with those things that Trump was saying at Davos, yeah, I don't doubt that they could be taking it there very soon. And I really hope they do. I really hope that Q starts giving us some official direction in that way, because there is just ungodly amounts of disinformation that's put out by the military-industrial complex and by the rogue Central Intelligence Agency, the clowns in America. They put so much disinformation out, and they've been doing that for decades, about UFOs and ETs and hidden technologies and things like that. And of course, they're doing it right now. They've been doing it for the last 2.5 years with the whole Tom DeLonge, New York Times, ATIP, TTSA, whatever you want to call it. They're really trying to pump out the disinformation about UFOs right now. And I saw a town hall article that came out just last night about UFOs. Now, Town Hall, if you're familiar with that particular media outlet, they're a pretty prominent conservative media platform. And, oh man, I gotta do some curating in these comments. Hold on. The flat earthers are bad. Anytime I talk about space, it's just the flat earthers instantly jump on the comment section, and then everybody that thinks that aliens are just demons and stuff like that, like, come on. It's not that simple. It's a complicated conversation. So, anyway, the town hall put out an article on UFOs, which is great. I'm all for getting people accustomed to these ideas. But what town hall was promoting was that mainstream CIA half-truth propaganda. Tom DeLonge, Lou Elizondo, the ATIP program, all of that nonsense. And it really just bums me out, because the mainstream media people, all the journalists there, cool, they're sort of waking up. They're taking these subjects a little more seriously. But you guys need to wake up and smell the psyops. And hardly anybody's doing that. You got to understand that the UFO subject, there's a lot of propaganda, a lot of disinformation out there about it, especially in the mainstream. And it is a distraction. That propaganda is. But the UFO subject itself is not. It's one of the most important subjects that we could talk about, right? Because of just everything that it involves. The cosmological understanding, the technology, the physics, etc., etc. It's incredibly important, but there is also a lot of disinformation out there about it, and that's exactly why. Because the true narratives in terms of UFOs and ETs and free energy technologies completely destroys the deep state and their mental control on you. So there's all of that. And, it might break your heart, truly, about how many of your favorite media people, your favorite folks on YouTube and your favorite folks that go to the UFO conferences, a lot of them are controlled opposition. It's a bummer. It's a bummer. So you got to be careful for the clickbait. You got to be careful for the people trying to fake you out. So that's my soapboxing on the UFOs. I want to talk a minute about vaccines and big pharma, and then I'll leave you guys here. So, you know, speaking of those particular cures and the bioengineered diseases and et cetera, gotta do some more curating of this. Okay, here's a lot of people are asking me about particular individuals in the comments section here. Let me just say that most YouTube channels that talk about UFOs and ETs, most, not all, but most, are towing the line of the mainstream media propaganda. And frankly, there's so much clickbait out there, people using CGI images in their thumbnails and all this sorts of stuff. And not just that, but all of the influenced folk, all the controlled ops on Joe Rogan and on Netflix, and that get mainstream media spots, right? Just do your own research, think for yourself, guys, and really no false idols. So anyway, on to Big Pharma, that coronavirus. So I've seen that start hitting the media, coronavirus, and it's like I'm getting flashbacks of SARS and the bird flu and the swine flu and, my God, all these different like viruses that come out of China, especially like, what, 10, 15 years ago. Remember all that stuff? Now we've got the coronavirus. And they're saying that the first case of this has been discovered in Washington State, of all places. So I'm going to have to, like, get home and MMS the whole state, MMS the shit out of everything. But, yeah, I'll do that. The media will call me a bleach drinker. Ah, the bleach drinking Jordan with his MMS, with his chlorine dioxide. But anyway, so that coronavirus was pumped in the media. And then just yesterday, there was an article that came out of CNN that said pharmaceutical stocks are spiking. They're soaring because of this coronavirus. It's like, shit. What? Do you see the manufactured propaganda there? Do you see the clockwork that's going on? I wouldn't doubt if these pharmaceutical companies have already been working on freaking vaccines for the last couple of years for this exact moment. And this is all being planned. I wouldn't doubt if this coronavirus was bioengineered in some way, just so all of this could happen, right? So, it's awful. It's awful. And that vaccine propaganda, they're going tough on that. We've got that TikTok doc. Did you guys see my video that I did a few days ago on that TikTok doc? She's getting some media coverage. She was featured on CBS this morning. Her name's Nicole Baldwin, this doctor out of Ohio, which I wouldn't doubt. My guesstimation on this is she was probably paid off. We know that she met with Dr. Paul Offit probably the same day that she did that TikTok video. But she's getting all this sorts of coverage just for them to be able to pump their vaccine propaganda. And speaking of TikTok, I don't TikTok. I can't stand that app. It's way too confusing, and it's like a playground for narcissists. But all sorts of different doctors and nurses are flooding into TikTok to try to just hit that younger generation. And it's really sad. It's really, really sad. Maybe I will try to do TikTok to reach that younger generation because we really need to right now. But I don't know. I just can't stand that app. But they're really pumping her. They're pumping that vaccine propaganda. They're pumping that coronavirus all over the mainstream media. So just be careful, everybody. You really got to see through what they're trying to feed you. Not just in terms of pharmaceutical propaganda, but I was just talking about UFOs and ETs, and of course all the hate against the president too. It's like, it's sad stuff. I can't stand disinformation. That's like the one thing that grinds my gears the frickin' most, no matter what it's about. And I just see what the mainstream media lies to us about, and that's what I'm inclined to discuss. So whether it's lies about the president, I'll talk about that. Whether it's lies about the technology that really exists or our place in the universe, other civilizations out there, or whether it's pharmaceutical propaganda, I don't care what it is, climate change propaganda. Speaking of which, you know, you had Greta Thunberg at the World Economic Forum today, parroting the talking points, and Donald Trump, you know, shutting down the climate change nonsense. But whatever it is, that's just what I like to discuss. So that's what I'll go for. And recently as well, I think some people have noticed that I've gotten a little more, oh, how do I want to describe this? I've been speaking out a little bit more against individuals and names, especially on Twitter. I've really taken sort of a different stance. Like, I've gotten less politically correct. Let's just say that. I've gotten much less politically correct lately because I cannot stand how many fakers and LARPers and liars that are out there. So I don't care. I mean, someone's got to be out there warning you. I'll do it, you know. There's others out there that are more politically correct, and they'll sing Kumbaya and hold your hand, and that's fine. You can go follow them. But I'll be here calling out the bullshit. If you don't want to follow me, that's fine. I'm not telling you what to think. I'm just giving you my opinion, all right? And I'll continue doing that. I will call out the names of people in the alternative media that lie to you and that suck. And I will call out the people on YouTube and the people that go to these conferences and all those sorts of things, because somebody's got to, right? And yeah, I know it's going to catch me a lot of heat, but that's fine. I'm cool with that. It kind of makes me laugh, and it's really entertaining. And I have a good sense of self, so it's not gonna affect me. Call out Rachel Madcow. She's the worst on TV. Yeah, I don't really go for the mainstream folks because there's enough people calling them out already. It's the people in the alternative. It's the people that are in the truth community that are the controlled opposition that a lot of folks out there can't see clearly. And if I have any sort of background knowledge, you see, here's the thing. I don't call people out without having a very good understanding of what they're really all about and without doing my due diligence. I don't call people out just to call people out, right? That's not what we're about here. It's not, I don't do anything out of personal attacks. The reason I put people on blast is because I know they're lying to you and I know they're faking or something like that. So I have no problem naming and shaming, okay? Naming and shaming. It's done. It's time to be done with political correctness, because that's what's gotten into this freaking problem in the first place, is all of our apathy, all of our, you know, sense of just shutting up and being that way. I'm sick of being that way, guys. I'm sick of it. So again, if you don't want to deal with the drama, don't follow me. But this world is dramatic. Everything's dramatic, right? So you learn to deal with the drama and learn to enjoy it, or just go into your little hole and research what makes you feel good. But doing that, you're not really gonna expand your consciousness as much as you could, right? So learn to deal with the frickin' drama. Shoot. But anyway, that's it for this one, guys. Much appreciated for all you guys with the super chats. Thank you, Kareen. Thank you, Steven. Thank you, Tammy. Love all you guys. They demonetize basically every video I do these days, no matter what it's about. It's crazy. Even that benign vlog I posted the other day, still demonetized. So your super chats definitely help. All of your guys' support on Patreon helps as well. Bigly. And thank you, Pepe. Thank you, Pepe Deluxe. Much appreciated. There was somebody actually at the event last weekend in Sydney that had a Pepe shirt on. I loved it. I need to get me some, like, Pepe something. So, yeah, man. Thank you, everybody. I'll be back probably within a couple days. I'll get back into doing the live streams. And I'll probably work on, what I want to do is a weekly live show as well. So I don't know what day or time to do it. Honestly, if you guys want to help me out with that, drop a time in the comment section down below. I'm trying to figure out a time during the week that doesn't interfere with anybody else's live show. I know Red Pill 78 does a Friday night live stream. The Edge of Wonder guys do like Friday midday. Brendan Dilley has his morning show, so I'm trying to figure time once or twice during the week. So let me know a good time or day that works for you, and I'll try to make it to when nobody else is streaming, and I can get on that. So anyway, back home soon. Much more coming. Thanks, everybody. Take care.